All right. Hey, everybody. It's Digital
Hey,
Asset Guy with one of my XRP family members. I'm so excited for this interview. We've been talking about it for a while, but we're going to go ahead and do it today. We met at XRP Las Vegas this year. So, without further ado, go ahead and introduce yourself. This is Crypto Jazz with the Real Crypto Informants. How you doing?
hey, how you doing today, Digital Asset guys? Good to see you again, man. Always good to see you. And I'm
Yeah.
Jazz. If you guys don't know, I'm a crypto informant, and it's nice to be here on your platform today.
Oh, it's great to have you. I'm doing well, but I'm not doing as well as when we were at XRP Las Vegas. That was just some of the best moments, memories were made there of my life, and I'm sure you probably feel the same. But I'm doing well, but can't wait for XRP Vegas 26.
Yeah, I can't wait neither. I can't wait till they get us some information so we can get everything locked, stocked and barreled away because I'm definitely coming back again. I'm excited. Like you said, it was nice to be in person with your community. People from all over the world were there, and it felt like you said, a big family reunion. Like it felt good to be in that space with everybody.
Oh, absolutely. It was just. It was hard. It's hard to describe what an effect it had on me personally, and I think everybody else. So we'll talk about XRP Vegas in this interview. So I got a few things that I've noted that I'd like to chat with you about. Hopefully, we can get to everything. To start, why don't you go ahead and tell our audience what you do every day and what your current mission is, and just give us a little intro to what you are all about, Jazz.
All right. Well, once again, just thank you for having me. Well, on a day to day, I own and operate a food truck, and I am a crypto teacher and enthusiast. So if I'm not in the business, I am in a rabbit hole, learning about projects. Keeping myself up to date. As you know, it's always new information coming every day. I feel like we're in a space to where you should always be learning. You don't want to get behind the curve. So I always like to, jump into a rabbit hole and stay up to date with what's going on, especially now we have a lot of legislation moving really fast. So, you definitely don't want to get caught behind the curveball. So that's kind of what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I just really enjoy outside of crypto and working, just trying to enjoy some of this summertime while we, the end of it while we have it, some of this good weather. Yeah. So, I'm very simple, very, very simple young lady. I don't have anything elaborate going on. I don't ever think until somebody wants to talk to me about crypto or business, and then I fall in love. I've been into this space since 2020, so I'm not a veteran, but I'm not a newbie neither. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
well,
in.
I think I think I think you're early, even though it might not feel like it. I think we're all early, and it's definitely going to be interesting. So that's a good place to start. Why don't you go ahead and tell us, how did you get into crypto? When was the very first time you heard about it, and what got everything started, Jazz?
Well, ironically, the first time I heard about, and this, let me be very distinguished. The first time I heard about Bitcoin was in the early 2000s, like maybe 2016, 15. And it wasn't anything in depth. It was a lot of, I found myself on YouTube. I would see little ads with the little Bitcoin coins. So it was in my cerebral space, but I kind of blew it off. Like, it sounds like a million other stories. But in 2019, my mother took a class, a cryptocurrency class. And I was like, well, great. She called me like, hey, I'm taking this crypto class from one of the YouTubers, and I'm excited. It starts, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's great for you, mom." She's like, "Yeah, I bought you a ticket too." So we're taking a class. I'm like, "Oh my God." I was like, "You did not pay and sign me up for a class." She was like, "Yes, I did, and yes, you are coming." And it's been like head over heels since then. The class was amazing. Now it wasn't too in depth. The gentleman she went to was Cycles for Life. His name was Kareem, and it wasn't what I learned is so much information to digest. Yeah, I think personally it's almost impossible to learn everything in one sitting in one class. but the exposure opened my mind up and I fell head over heels. And after that, as we say, I put one foot in a rabbit hole and another and I fell straight in. So by 2020, I found myself in the crypto market very green. I had no idea what I was doing fully. I was on Coinbase when I started my journey. Very high fees,
Mm.
very very like I said, it was user friendly though. I will say that much. And
Yeah.
just a little caveat, I do appreciate now a lot of these platforms are very user friendly now than they used to be. And they offer some type of education as you go through, at least showing you where everything is and what everything is. So it's a lot better now than then. So it's good to see those improvements. But just at the time, I didn't know anything about altcoins. I didn't know where to start exactly. I just knew about the few projects he had talked about in the class. So that's where I started. And then I came to YouTube University where everybody else comes. And I found Bearable Bull, I found CKJ, I found a few other YouTubers, and I picked a few projects. One of the earlier projects I got in was Solana when it was about $20. I was in a Matic, I was into a few other things, and I was able to catch that C19 jump. So I was able to see Selena go from about 19, 18, $20 to almost 200 $200. And it was it was over from there. So that's how I found myself into crypto. Do I wish I had got in earlier? Of course. And actually after that, like, so I didn't even get into XRP until like maybe the end of 2020. So that's the ironic part. I found XRP later in my journey, coming into crypto.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of similar to my story. I was in around 2016 and was actually in Ethereum first, was mining. We had no idea what we were doing. But yeah, I was not in XRP at all. Then I was in Bitcoin next, and I kind of bought into all the narratives that XRP is not a real crypto and it's centralized. It's the banker's coin. I bought into that, those theories. And then in 2017, in that bull run, it stood still and then it lagged and it shot up from like 20 cents to, almost $4 is what was recorded. I mean, it was up there so quick, but I was like, hold on, wait a second. What is going on? This thing just went crazy and people are saying, I'm like, I don't care what they're saying. There's something going on here. And so it was kind of similar to yours, and yours was Solana. But well, that's really interesting. So now with being a crypto teacher, like I am, do you do a lot of your classes online or do you do any in person? How are you set up?
Well, yeah, currently mine are in person. I have the pleasure of I got accepted into a homeschool program, to where the students and the parents attend, and we meet up at a center called Engage Detroit, and they are great program. I love that they focus on it's open to homeschoolers throughout Michigan, so and it's a good opportunity again for have a space. You know, when you deal with a lot of kids that do homeschool, it's typically a lot of online and it's a good space because they get to actually come together, meet other students, the parents get to meet, share information, share resources and learn. They get different classes. My particular class is blockchain and digital assets literacy, but there's also cooking, it's also a gardening, it's also like a gentleman who comes in and teach them about solar energy and they build like solar bikes. It's really cool. It's a great center and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I'm glad to really, uh this I feel like this opportunity is for everybody, but it's really for, the younger generation because they're so they're so more advanced than us. They're already in the digital age. Most of them,
Yeah.
know about V-Bucks and all these things. So they're ready to go digital. They're like, okay, I get the concept and they're enjoying learning about investing, learning about financial literacy, and also learning about how currency really works. What I've learned in all of this and what drew me into cryptocurrency is something I teach in the class that we really, don't know how our money even works, how our monetary system works. um, how our banking system works. You know, we're really like the one thing that is true in everybody's lives that we use every day. We really have no clue how it moves around, how it processes. We just go spend the money, you know.
Yep.
So, to teach them about, fractional reserve banking, about fiat currency, and they learned about we came from a gold standard. They're like, I remember teaching the first student, like, hey, we used to trade gold, we used to barter, and then we went from bartering to notes, but the notes were backed by real assets like gold, and then we went to the petrol, and now it's just fiat. It's just a promise. Like our promise is worth something. And then, but you see inflation killing our dollar every day. So, if kids can grab that concept and understand and see it, I feel like it's no really reason for us as adults, and we're supposed to be, know when you know better, you're supposed to do better.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah.
love that. Jazz, that hits really close to home with me because the digital asset guy was homeschooled from fifth grade
Oh,
through ninth grade. Yeah,
oh
long
man.
story short, I had some issues with reading. They said I couldn't read, or in, fifth grade, I was reading at a third grade level or whatever. But the real truth of it is, I just didn't like reading. I'm a very extroverted person. I'm very, auditory. I've got to be talking to somebody or hearing something, or otherwise it just doesn't quite. I don't know. So anyway. I was homeschooled, and that's just really awesome. I wish that I would have been learning about crypto. Of course, it kind of didn't exist yet, but that's just amazing what you're doing for those students, because yeah, it's going to have such an effect on their lives,
Mhm.
and it's happening now. That's just so exciting. Cool.
Definitely, definitely. And I'm sure you heard Paul Atkins, the SEC, with the project crypto, pretty much say everything that's off chain is coming on chain or blockchain, and that's all of our assets. That's all the American financial tools, or whether it's debt, commodities. So this is something that's gonna, yeah, it's gonna have a real effect. Like we're at the beginning stages, but when they're our age, everything will be in full swing. So yes, this is something that's gonna have a major impact on their life for sure. All of
Absolutely.
our lives, but really there.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why it is so important. The education. Yeah, definitely. So let's get into some of the legislation. We had so many huge things in the legislation affecting crypto, and what's your take on like the Genius Act and the Clarity Act? And um, I know I was invited on my local news in my city to talk about President Trump's executive order on 401ks allowing crypto to be allocated. So you want to talk about any of the legislation we've seen this year?
Definitely, we definitely can touch on that. What's ironic is, if you come downtown in the Detroit, you will see a few Coinbase signs saying Detroit is for the Clarity Act, and we voted yes for the Genius Act. So what I was excited to see from that is that really, if you've been paying attention to government, that's all they've been talking about: blockchain, digital assets, who's doing what. So I was glad to see that stablecoin Act made it through the door. We needed the Genius Act to open the door for the Clarity Act. And how I feel about the Clarity Act is, if people are too lost about it, we just need the SEC and the CFTC to come together and make clear rules of the road to protect us, to protect us as investors, and also to have some type of authority figure to say like, hey, we're responsible for this. So it's only a good thing. It's nothing that's going to take away from anybody, or it's nothing that's going to take away from us as the public, or from mostly, even you see a lot of these businesses. We've ran a lot of great companies off of American soil. We need that innovation here. We need the best minds here at home. We don't want to look up and every other country is miles ahead. So we definitely need crypto to stay home, and we need to have that safe harbor, and we need to have these rules, and we shouldn't run away innovation. You shouldn't run away improvement. You shouldn't get punished because I'm trying to make something better for
Yeah.
everyone here. Especially, I lived through the 2008 market crash. I'm from Detroit. I saw, I have firsthand experience seeing hundreds of people lives change. You saw houses get lost. You saw people lose their jobs. You saw a thriving city almost become a ghost town because, because of a banking system. So a lot of, like I try to teach people or I try to preach out like, hey, money matters at the heart of everything. Our banking system, our financial system matters. If it stops, everything stops. So I'm glad to see them coming together finally. I'm glad that the old regime is gone and we have a new SEC head and we have the CFTC that's willing to work. They're willing to work together, if in their words, not mine, holistically to move forward with crypto, and they're behind the innovation. So I'm very excited to see what comes next.
Well, that's great. I am too, definitely, because I think both of us, along with, even the 60,000 XRP holders who were caught up in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. I call it the SEC versus Ripple, not Ripple versus the SEC, because Ripple won, basically.
Oh,
Yeah, but
yeah,
we lived
Ripple.
through that. Yeah, and John Deaton, we got to meet at XRP Vegas. But I was personally harmed as an investor because of that lawsuit. The SEC's job, they claimed, was to protect investors. They just went and sued Ripple, saying XRP was an illegal security, and then the judge is like, "Well, wait a second. When something's a security, it means you're guaranteeing profit. Can you prove any XRP holder was guaranteed profit by Ripple?" And they're kind of like, "Well, no." And the whole thing was just kind of, I think the Clarity Act was born from the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. It was just such an elephant in the room. We lived through it. So the Clarity Act is, I mean, it was just so needed, and it'll just be so exciting to see clear rules of the road and not, regulation through enforcement, people just randomly getting sued, lives being ruined. It's been a long time coming.
Oh yeah, Ripple spearheaded this. They did this for the whole space. Ultimately they made the sacrifice for years, and more than just that, they managed to stay profitable and successful. They still were acquiring other businesses. They still thrived. So not only were they, doing this, they took it on to do this for us. They could have settled, and it's like, no, we're not going to settle.
Yeah.
We're not wrong. We're not doing anything wrong. These are not securities, and we know at the time we're not even going to give his name power, Mr. The
Mhm.
old SEC head. Thank God he's gone. But you saw at a time favorites were picked, and then when you saw things that happened with Sam Bankman fraud, and you're like, hey, how did this slip through the cracks? And
Yeah.
and we have a legitimate company here, and it's like we're being attacked. Good business is being attacked, and bad business, bad characters and actors are being let into the White House.
Yeah.
Like, how is that
Exactly.
happening? I mean, I remember at one point his face was like on the Times, New York Times. It was like a huge publication. It was like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
so it's great to be here on this side of it,
Oh
finally
man.
coming out of it.
It was a rough road. I know personally it was very, very difficult on me going through that lawsuit and the price tanking, and everybody's saying, see, the government sued them, it's over, and that was just rough for me. Do you want to talk about some of I mean, we always love to talk about the positive aspects and how this space, we're lucky to be here, and it's enriched our lives, but I like to talk about the struggles and what we've been through. Would you like to speak to the tough parts of this journey for you
Oh,
personally?
definitely. On this journey, and I'm sure somebody out here can relate to me, it can get a little lonely, especially when you start it. Like you go down a rabbit hole, most of the time you go down alone. You find yourself, you're learning this new information, and it's the more you learn, the more you want to learn, almost like for myself. Like I said, I'm speaking solely for me. The more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. And it's like you're talking a different language to everybody around you. But again, it reinforces what I
Mhm.
said. Most people don't even understand how their money's work. So when you tell them like, hey, we're in this fraud system and fiat isn't real and now we got blockchain coming and this is going on, they're like, okay, there go the tinfoil hat person. Let me
Yep.
get away.
And just write you off.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. They 100% write you off or like, are the first thing to come out. Well, it sounds like a scam to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is crazy. Like, this is what your bank does with your money all the
Yeah.
time. Like, when you put it in there, they're taking it, and this is what they're doing with it. So, most people isolate you away, or, they're not willing to learn, or they're not willing to even open their ears to hear you. So, you find yourself on a computer a lot. You find yourself behind a phone a lot, and you meet great people out here in the digital space. Ironically, just like the money is going digital, you meet a lot of great people that are like minded, but it's most of the time in a digital space. So in real life, you kind of find yourself doing a lot of this alone. You do a lot of the studying alone. And if you're fortunate, sometimes you can find a few people in your circle or in your city or that relate to you. But most of the time it's a lot of isolation to do this, to learn and gain the knowledge, read white papers, study charts, learn about this company. Keeping up with the news is very lonesome sometimes. And then how the news do any little piece of bad information, that's what everybody wants to come
Yeah.
bombard you with.
Yeah.
Like one little bad thing that they see, oh, I see a little crypto things doing bad. They said that they took all the money and see, I told you it was a scam. I told you, but I realize people love negativity. Negativity always tends to spread faster than positivity, for
Yeah.
sure. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll ignore the thousands of percent bull runs and then it comes down 90% for the bear market. And they're like, look, and I'm like, you guys ignored the bull run and now we want, yeah, it's just how it goes. But yeah, I hear you with the lonely part. I mean, it has been seriously tough on me. We get on social media and we see the good parts and the pictures and the videos that are posted. And I had a great time at XRP Vegas. We'll get into that next. But people don't see the lonely times and boy, does it, yeah. I mean, I firmly believe if I wasn't in crypto, I would probably be happily married with kids. And that just didn't happen. And I know it was because of my journey in crypto and it's tough because it's tough for people to walk the walk with you and stay on the journey. And I just know I've had some really, really hard days where it was maybe financially the best day of my entire life. And I'm walking around in a park, the loneliest person in the world. I swear, I've had days like that where it's just like, how could this be? But it's part of the journey.
Definitely part of the journey. And how I look at it now, it's almost like a vetting process. Like people vet themselves. Like if you weren't around during this part, it's like, whoever comes next, I feel like getting to those spaces, like going to the XRP conventions, going out into wherever you're located. And when I'm seeing now more and more pop up, you see a lot of the spaces, whether it's a blockchain or digital asset, you see like Stand with Crypto, you see like a lot of these organizations popping up all over, and people are coming to them. So I always try to make it my business. Like I know in Detroit we have Stand with Crypto. We have a group here called the Collective, and anything where we're meeting in person to speak about digital assets, Web3, blockchain, I try to make it my business to go and fellowship with people that are like minded, because like I know exactly what you're going through and I know how you feel, and sometimes you need a person to talk to and relate to you and not feel like you're crazy in a room, or not feel like you feel isolated because you're trying to have this discussion about crypto or finances, and it's like nobody really understands. So I just try to find myself in the spaces that embrace me, where I'm embraced. I go where I'm loved and embraced. I try to stay away from places where I'm not, and
Yeah.
it gets better. It's get better. It's getting better because it's a little bit more. I think people finally like, hey, we need to do something where I am. So it's getting a little bit better out here, really.
Yeah.
Digital asset guy. It's gonna get better. Don't worry about the wife and the kids. They're gonna come at the perfect time, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be the right person. And I think a lot of people are gonna see us where we are, and like, hey, I'm glad I did go the route less traveled, because instead of me being, mind numbed and following what society says I should be doing, now I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy from my stance of happiness, and I didn't have to settle for, the American dream or whatever. To be in the dream, you got to be asleep. I'd rather be awake and aware of what's going on. So it's
Oh, I
okay.
like that. To dream, you've got to be asleep. Yeah, you're right. I like that. Well, man, so this is just so valuable to me to get to talk with another XRP crypto family member like this. Let's see. How about if we segue that into XRP Vegas? We
It
all
put a smile on my
had
face. That's like,
such a
even
great
thinking
time.
about that is,
Yeah.
yeah.
As soon as I think about it, I start smiling. It was like, yeah. Well, so what were your favorite memories? Just tell us about XRP Las Vegas.
Quite frankly, the whole from the minute I got in line, it felt good. And so walking into the door, like, the minute I got in line, I started, we all started talking to everybody, started talking to each other, and we were excited. I don't think I saw one face that didn't have a smile on it, or, people that weren't open or receptive to each other. And what I really enjoyed about the space is it was 1,500 people from all over the world. It wasn't a specific demographic. Nobody cared about where you were from. Well, it was like a judgment free zone. We all came here for this one thing and where we relate, and everybody brought their knowledge, their tools, and we came together. Like, I actually ended up leaving from there. I met the digital asset guy. I met a few other great gentlemen and women that I still keep up with until this day. We still talk on the phone. We still Zoom. Actually, I'm making a trip out to a few different cities just to see some of my XRP family. Because it's like you have to get around those groups. You have to get around those people and exchange knowledge, one, because you don't know everything. You don't want to be that person on the island thinking you know everything. So what I've learned just from being in a room was it changed my financial position because I gained so much information. I learned about new projects. I learned about DeFi. I learned so much being there. Even with Caleb and Brown being there, I didn't even realize that we can potentially collateralize our XRP. So it was so much information. It was a wealth of information, and it was a wealth of great energy, and everybody was just open and receptive. So from the line, from walking into the actual center, I got to meet John Deaton. I got to meet Elizabeth. No, not. Oh, how dare I say that woman name?
I
No, I
didn't
didn't
know
meet.
Elizabeth Warren was there. No, I don't think that would have
She,
went well for
what?
her.
I definitely want to went well for her. No, I got to meet Crypto Mom. I'm sorry, she was.
Oh
She was.
yeah.
I actually got to meet her. She wasn't in
Hester Pierce, right?
Yeah, Hester Pierce. Look, I'm so used to calling her Crypto Mom. Yes, Hester Pierce. I actually ran into her at the Bitcoin convention. I
Uh,
stopped there for like the last 2 days of the Bitcoin convention. I did see Michael Saylor on stage, but it was great to be amongst that space, ask those questions. Like, you only can see so much on the internet. So to be able to be in that space and exchange that information was great. It was awesome. And I can't wait to go back to do it again, because I can only imagine what I'm gonna leave with this time, because just these few months since then has been like it's been a whole change of pace since I've left the XRP convention. Like I said, I haven't stopped smiling. Every time I even think about it, it definitely. So
oh
what about you?
man.
I met the digital asset guy there. We met
Yeah.
in the Uphold
Yeah.
round table. Like,
Yeah, that
Uphold,
was
I was able
awesome.
to get that was awesome to be able to be pulled into an Uphold round table. I use Uphold every day for them to pull us in there, and we were actually able to talk, and they actually wanted to hear what we had to say from a user's perspective. And hey, I feel like I'm doing my part in this space.
Totally. That was one of my favorite parts. I mean, XRP Vegas, it literally like shocked my nervous system. I could not sleep. I like literally did not sleep for 3 nights. I would be up late hanging out with people that I had met, meeting my heroes at the after parties, and it wasn't like hardcore partying or anything. It felt like a family reunion, even though I had never met anyone, and I just couldn't sleep. I'd be hanging out till 2 in the morning and then try to get some sleep, but just thinking about it all, and I wonder who I'm going to meet tomorrow. And then I want to get up early and get in there to try to catch Brad Garlinghouse or David Schwartz. And I just never really slept. And I know I was looking like it by the end, but it was just so stimulating, and I was just so happy. And I can't wait for next year. I can't wait till they announce the date because I'm going to get everything all set up. But it was, yeah, no, my interview with Bree Teresi, I think maybe you were there, but it was, I had like an out of body experience at the beginning of that thing. She started interviewing. We had talked before on X about doing that, and everybody was just coming in the conference as she started interviewing me. I saw like digital asset investor and blockchain backer walking by, right as they're coming in, and I'm being interviewed, and I'm meeting Bree for the first time, and I literally almost like passed out or something. It was just too much too soon, but it was just such a powerful memory that I'm always going to have of all that going down at once on that first day in the morning.
Man, and it was crazy that you said because that was my first time ever, like, even I was lightly familiar with Crypto Brie, but I've never like, of course, never met her. I was like, so to meet all that good personality, but you know what? As much as I love Brie, I have to give shout out to her mom.
Oh yeah.
Her mom is like she has one of the best moms. And I hope she sees this. Brie's mom made the space so welcoming. Like I did an interview with Bree, but I ended up, of course, we moving throughout the space. But her mom was like, "Hey, Jazz," I'm like, "What?" And she
Yeah.
just was like, and I'm glad you made it, and just a good positive energy. So it makes sense why she's the way she is because her mom is like, if she's a light, her mom's the sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
like
we agree.
so that was great. That was a great experience meeting her. And I got to meet Quincy, which
Oh
Quincy
man.
Jones. Quincy is a mind like he's a crypto genius. He's a blockchain genius. He's
He's
a
like
great
the
mind.
coolest person I've ever, like, he is so cool. He is cooler than the moon. He is just nothing he can't handle. He's so interesting to talk to. And how old is he? He's like
I
pretty
think
young.
Quincy is like in his early 20s. I want to say Quincy
Oh,
maybe is 24. Maybe 20, and that's maybe. He might
yeah.
be 24. So
Oh,
for him to have that wealth of knowledge, like, and I mean, like you said, and he's never not in the zone, like, and it's not anything, fake. He's just it's there. It's like, and he's always open and receptive, and he loves to conversate. And, some people can get a little bit of, you get a lot of information, get a big head, but he's super down to earth. But he's easy to talk to, and
oh man.
we can talk.
I
How
have
about
to
talk that man
laugh.
to death?
He's so funny too, because I was standing in the line to get in, the first day. The line was like a mile long with all those 2,000 people or whatever. So some of my friends said, "We need some coffee." So I said, "I'm going to go find some coffee because the digital asset guy needs his coffee." And every morning I just do. And so I decided to leave, and they're going to hold my spot. I'm going, I run into Quincy. And I'm like, you're Quincy Jones, right? And I've come up like a fanboy, and he's like, yeah. I said, I'm going to get some coffee because this line is so long. And he goes, trust me, the coffee line is just as long. And I just started laughing, and it was really long because there was like one place in the MGM to get coffee for
Yeah, which
2,000
is which
people.
is weird, which is crazy that dynamic. You would think how big that place is, they would have a couple of little Starbucks
Yeah.
kiosks or something, but yeah, it
That's,
was
yeah, if I
definitely.
do make one suggestion, I'm going to be like, we need coffee in the line when we're standing in line. That would make it like the ultimate. Well, man, I cannot believe I like to keep these interviews like, to 30 minutes or so. I cannot believe how fast the time already went. I've just enjoyed every second of this. Is there anything you want to hit on before we kind of wrap up here, Jazz?
You know what? I would just want to say if anybody wants to keep up, they can follow me on the Real Crypto Informants on YouTube. I am doing classes in Detroit. I am Crypto Jazz. I don't claim to know everything, but what I do know, I have no problem sharing. The digital asset guy is genuinely outside of the persona of online. He's a great guy, great guy, great heart. And we need you in this space. We need each other in this space to keep thriving and doing well. So I know it may feel lonely, but it's trust me, it's plenty of people behind here that's rooting for you, rooting for us, rooting for the whole industry. So that was it. I just want to leave it off on a positive note because so much crypto jargon. At the end of the day, where you're a good guy doing a good thing for people from your heart. You're learning something and you're giving it back to your community, and it's something that's going to be well. So don't I'll say don't worry about the loneliness. It goes away. It gets better. It's getting better, and we're almost at the end of this race, man.
Yeah.
We're this close to the finish line. So I'm happy to have met you. I'm happy to have met everyone I met at the XRP conference out in Vegas. Everybody I've met locally with Stand with Crypto, and I'm excited to see what this next year has to bring for us. With the rest of this year wrapping up, we're almost in the last quarter, and I'm excited for 2026, man. So yeah, that's it
Oh,
for
me
me.
too. Well, thank you. You don't know how much your words mean to me, Jazz, really. And I was just so happy to meet you. It's one of my happiest memories from Vegas and that round table, everybody in there. But we're not too far away, so we're gonna have to plan some of our own crypto meetups. And definitely I'll see you at XRP Vegas. But then I even hear rumors of an XRP meetup in New York City this winter. We'll have to look into it, but I'm sure, we're gonna hang no matter what it takes. And always a pleasure to talk to you. You're one of my favorite people. And we're going to do some more collaborating and things.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely one of my favorite people. Definitely, this is one of my favorite things to do, man. So yeah, let's get it done. And
We
oh
will.
yeah, like also, I know my buddy Ryan couldn't make it, but he will definitely be around next time. Great
Yeah,
guy.
we'll get him on next time,
We'll
definitely.
definitely get him onto this chat next
Yeah.
time because he
I'll
has a whole another wealth of information. So, and that's what everybody got to realize in this space. There's nothing you can't bring to the table. We all have pieces here. Nobody knows everything, and this isn't an island. But you better. What did Rosie Rio say? The train has left the station, so don't miss this train. That's it.
Yeah,
Don't miss the train. Don't miss the train. Don't be scared and don't miss the train.
absolutely. Well, again, I've enjoyed every second of this, Jazz, and I'll be talking to you real soon. Thank you so much for doing this interview, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate you and have a good day.
My pleasure. You too. See you, Jazz.
Yep.